You start the live stream?
It's still starting right now, so it's loading.
Oh, okay, because this has the wrong title.
It has the wrong title. Should I stop it?
Um, I don't, let me see if there's a way to change it, but I don't think that'll do anything. That's all right. Just don't worry about it.
Okay, should I just go for
Yep.
it? Okay. Welcome back. We are here with Action Horror Feature Bootcamp Week 1. This is continuing from Week 0, which was actually 2 weeks ago, because last week we had our in-person spooktacular at the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory, downtown Los Angeles, where we'll hopefully be holding more events regularly now. That'll be,
Next one, December 7th,
yes,
tentatively. How to
December.
write a TV pilot.
Thank you for that. So yeah, you can plan on coming by for another long event like we did with our horror writing meet up workshop that was last week. This is going to be focused on TV pilots, December 7th. Not 100% confirmed yet, but we will be confirming that soon and finding out the new dates that we'll be able to use in the new year. So looking forward to doing more in-person stuff in Los Angeles. Thank you all for joining up. Hopefully you've already gotten started up on your loglines and sketchbooks and things like this because you were here in the preceding weeks. But even if not, you can join now and try to get caught up in preparation for this bootcamp, which will take you all the way from idea to finished draft of a brand new feature in just 8 weeks. And we are looking at action horror because it's the spooky season, or it was a couple of days ago, and I still consider it to be spooky season until the end of these current courses. Pilot Bootcamp is currently post-apocalyptic dystopian, Friday 6 to 8 Pacific time. Feature is action horror. That's this time slot. Sundays 11 to 1. And then we're doing novel, Saturdays 12 to 2. That does not have a genre theme, but you can read some spooky books to get in the spooky mood if you want to. And then I also do 2 writers'
And
labs twice a week, Friday 12 to 2 and Saturday 4 to 6. Go ahead, Naja.
I was just going to suggest to everyone to be sure to sign up if you're interested, if you're planning to write a TV pilot or whatever. We need some more folks to sign up. So we have at least a minimum of 6 or 7 people in each boot camp.
Yes, we'd love to have a good, solid minimum number of members before we start the bootcamp. So please do sign up if you're interested. We have all the sign-up sheets available now. You can find them on our Discord channel or on our Discord server by just typing !bootcamp into any channel, and that's a macro that'll bring up all the links for the sign-up sheets. If you're on Discord right now, you can just check the chat and you can get those links right away. And all you have to do is type your name and add your email and your project, and then you will get instant access to those member-exclusive chat channels, and you will be officially tagged as a bootcamper. You'll be joining our upcoming sessions of members that will be writing an entire feature or an entire pilot in either the 8 or the 6-week sessions for those courses. Okay, hope you can sign up. We want to get everyone involved. And if you don't think you can pay the monthly contributing member donation, then we have a waiver application as well. Okay, so we'll start today with just that recap of genre essentials. We'll go into our check-in of what are you working on, whether it's in our genre or not. You can tell us what your progress is, any questions or problems you're running into. We can go into some of those bootcamp essentials where I have some recommendations for the types of projects that are best to work on for these sorts of courses. Sketchbook, different types of monsters and how to fight them. Premise, so I'm sort of mixing it up between bootcamp essentials and action horror specific stuff. So then we'll be going from killing monsters to premise, talking about high concept and how to find those simple, easily explainable premises that feel like they sell the movie based on just the idea alone. We're going to be looking at gothic punk aesthetics, which are tied to action horror in some ways and are both a sensibility and also a visual style that permeates a lot of the genre in the sort of post-Matrix leather-clad action horror sword wielding guy with crossbow kind of genre. And then we will look at comps, and we have a fun, hopefully, comp exercise for later, where we'll come up with we have a bunch of list of action movies, a list of horror movies, then we're just going to try to come up with premises that match those ideas together. So, your Die Hard meets Jaws, etc. I don't know how we do Die Hard meets Jaws. You're going to have to do that hard work yourself. Thanks for joining, guys. Let's go right into our recap, and then we will lead up to our check-ins right afterwards. So we're going to ask, what are you working on? What's your progress? And if you have a log line you want to share. Oh, Lou suggests Deep Blue Sea is sort of Die Hard meets Jaws. It kind of is. Yeah, they do leave the facility. I think are either at like the 60 or 70% mark. So they're not in the building the whole time the way that he is in Nakatomi Plaza, but that might be the closest we're gonna get. Good pick. All right, so recap. We're in action horror, which means it's scary, and it also means we can basically fight the monsters. That could be because your hero is a hyper competent protagonist, to even some sort of monster or zombie slayer or something like this, like our Blade or Constantine or someone like that. Often in that case, you're sort of more on the comic book side of things, and the franchise will be titled after your hero. Solomon Kane, Hellboy, all of these things are the hero is sort of like the selling point, and it's like the world of that character and their various foes that they combat. Otherwise, maybe your characters are regular people that rise to the challenge and simply take up weapons and aren't so afraid that they can't fight back. And we're looking at things like Dawn of the Dead or The Thing, where our characters they take the fight to the enemy and actually devise methods that they will combat the monsters and fight the zombies, and maybe we can even win. We usually don't exactly win in the cleanest most triumphant way, except in sometimes in the world of super heroic stuff. Maybe a little bit, we sometimes just win, but often there is some kind of cost associated with it. And that cost might be in the form of you lose your loved ones. It could be you or your loved ones get turned into monsters, or it could be that you lose your humanity in other sorts of ways. You guys name a character from this sort of subgenre tradition that is struggling with the loss of their own humanity.
Hellboy. I mean, he
Yeah.
never really had humanity, but he kind of wants to be more human, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. He is two things combined. He is hell and he is boy. He is the spawn of Satan, and the Antichrist he's Anung Rama who will end the earth with his right hand of doom. And he also
Oh
likes
my
to eat
God. Wait,
pancakes. Go ahead.
I had no idea. Hellboy is the Antichrist.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
He's like the key to the apocalypse. His destiny is to end the world, basically. But
Oh,
even
wow.
visually, that the idea of him rejecting that destiny and accepting humanity over the monstrous nature is built into his character design. Those big things on his
Hmm.
forehead are horns that he has broken off and continually files down with power tools so as to sort of reject his demonic nature. He's always struggling with this push and pull of, am I more monster or can I possibly be a human? Can I live that human life? I was raised as a human, but it's not my destiny to be one. Is who I truly am at my core, or what I choose to be, or what I was born as? That is one of the key questions of the genre. Absolutely. Good pick. Somebody else can want to shout out a protagonist from the subgenre that's kind of struggling with their humanity or mortality?
Can I use a hero from Marvel in a way?
Sure.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, great one. Yeah, Ghost Rider has a lot of horror elements to it. I mean, if I remember correctly, Johnny Blaze makes a deal with the devil, right? And that's why he takes on this, like, the spirit of vengeance, which is this kind of like flame demon that lives inside him. Is that right?
Yeah,
Got it. Okay. I forget exactly why he does that. Can you remind us? Why does he take on the spirit of vengeance?
his dad was dying of cancer.
Oh, it's to save someone. Got it. Okay. Often, yeah, there are these tragic roots to these characters where they will have made this choice in the first place for some really reasonable, understandable reason. To save a loved one, to prevent, like the Dracula thing, right? To prevent a loved one from dying. We see all kinds of these heroes that take on these tragic descents because of reasons that ultimately are relatable to the audience. That's what makes them tragic as opposed to feeling purely just like evil monsters from hell. They have that element of I could see myself going down that path if those things happen to me. So yeah, tragic heroes are a key
Ta-
protagonist style in the genre for sure. Go ahead.
Taylor brings up a really interesting one, Frankenstein. Like, I mean, maybe not as much in some of the adaptations, but I mean, could you imagine a really super like action oriented adaptation where he's just like just piling up bodies, like getting revenge, trying to hunt down the guy who made him or something. I mean, that would be pretty
I think that's
awesome.
the Toro's version that's coming out soon. At
Oh,
least
is
for
it
the
more
teaser.
action?
Not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
not out yet.
Yeah,
But yeah, some cool
it's
ideas.
brutal.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not out yet, but the trailers have him like chasing Frankenstein.
Okay. I would love to see a Frankenstein also that continues to modify himself with more parts. Like every person they kill, they're adding like Jeepers Creepers style. Could be cool.
Yeah, I saw the new Frankenstein. It's in theaters now. Netflix is the end of the month, but it's definitely leans more towards um what you're describing rather than previous adaptations. Um it shows him as much more complex and human with more action and but yeah, definitely more of a fully developed character than just, the monster we've seen. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, it would be sick to see um something, yeah, where bodies pile up.
it would be cool. Somebody could definitely do that. Or I think there was another one called I Frankenstein that was sort of a little bit more action oriented. But that one sort of was like there was an endless war between Frankenstein's, or was it gargoyles and demons? It was like, wait, is this even what has this got to do with Frankenstein? It just felt like a totally different storyline after a certain point. That was I Frankenstein, right? There were a couple of those around that time.
Yeah, yeah, it was I Frankenstein. Yeah.
Kind of a goofy one. I mean, a lot of the genre is pretty goofy. And there's different tonal sensibilities within it, but a lot of the time we sort of lean into the seriousness of it. You don't play it as too self-referential. It's got to feel like dripping with angst, and we love that. That's part of this. The characters might be professional monster hunters or some kind who deal with threats for a living, like X-Files, or they could just be these characters that start as a little bit less competent, but that as they research and prepare for their encounter, they take on this more kind of offensive role. It's something like Fright Night, where the characters start as just, normal teenagers, but then they have to sort of learn how to fight the monsters and they become competent by the end. And sometimes they even live on into the sequel to fight more monsters. So that's the core of the genre. We can fight the bad guys and we can maybe even win. We don't always win, but we can win. And if we do, surely there's some cost, some great cost that we have paid for it. But even if we don't, at the very least, your characters make a very good attempt to directly combat the key antagonistic threats. That is the difference between action horror and what we would call normal horror. And also, I think it requires a certain level of utilizing the action space. Like even you could say even like exorcism stories are sometimes about taking the fight to the demon or whatever. But I think we imagine a certain amount of set piece and like theatricality alongside that action as well. So cool action, I guess we'd say. Welcome, guys. If you're just joining, we are going into week 1, which is actually our second class on action horror after week 0. So this week we're going to check in and ask, what are you working on? And whether you were here last week or you're just joining now, maybe you have just a vague idea, or maybe you have a logline already done that you want to get review on today. We'll have those opportunities. And you can also tell us what you've been reading lately. So when we do our check-ins, we always ask, what are you working on? What's your progress? And what are you reading? Ideally, if you're in this course, you're reading feature scripts every week. I recommend reading 3 of them. They don't all have to be in the same genre. They can be whatever you want. They can be scripts from the server or from other users or members or your friends and family, whatever it is. But I recommend a mix of professional shooting scripts, spec scripts, things that you've seen, things that you haven't seen. Read 3 scripts a week. It's not that hard. Okay, let's open up our discussion. We're going to go straight down and we'll ask, what are you working on? What's your progress? What are you reading? Luke, we'll start with you.
Luke or Lou?
We'll start with Luke with a K.
I am working on a bunch of things. Let me post the logline. This is my action horror script. It is called Mark of Cain. And having some mixed success with it so far, but I think that it's a strong premise. I have read a few things. Just look at my thing here. I finally read the Dead Ringers pilot. couple of weeks late. And I'm reading The Usual Suspects currently,
Okay,
and a novella.
great. Logline looks good. We've worked on this one before, so we don't have to spend much more time on it. I think you're already pretty well into the movie.
Oh yes, I'm very deep into the movie, though not very deep into actually writing the script. I'm 20 pages in, and we're just getting to the pit itself. So,
That's okay.
uh,
That doesn't feel too long to me.
gonna spend hopefully like 5 to 10 pages in the pit, just so we feel the length of time that they're both in there.
Sounds good to me. Keep it going. Thank you for the check-in. Let's hear from Lou.
Hello. Uh, so I'm gonna post in the chat what I'm working on. Title is Franklin, political thriller, investigative drama. We got JFK, we got Fargo. Put in Psycho just because there's some shades of Psycho in there. So this is what I'm working on. I have the log line, obviously. I have the beat sheet and the scene cards, and I'm just putting my ideas on paper at this point. Kind of, I'm up to close to page 70 of just kind of getting the ideas out there because I read Sid Field's book and he said, once you have all this stuff, just start putting it on paper and keep writing. So that's what I'm doing now. I nowhere near a first draft, but yeah, that's the progress.
Okay. Glad to hear you got lots of pages done. Just in terms of logline feedback here, I think that it's all clearly written and it makes a lot of sense, but the issue to me is that the premise right now is just kind of hitting what I call shark movie syndrome, where the premise will sort of just sound like you're just using a lot of words to describe one pretty simple conflict, and not really telling us what makes this version of that special, or like not really clarifying a hook. I'll tell you the shark movie example is kind of like when she's attacked by a shark, a surfer must defeat the shark or else be eaten by the shark. It's like, okay, but we just sort of stated the same thing like 4 times. And pretty much all that I'm seeing in the logline is a detective is trying to stop a child abuse ring in Nebraska. And then there's a lot of words around that, but it doesn't really tell us what does your character have some unique tactic or limitation or some personal investment in what's going on, or maybe is there an antagonist that's part of the hook, or is there a central relationship that you can bring out? I think it just needs. I would just try to clarify and sharpen what makes this stand out from it. There's a lot of movies about good guy detectives trying to take down an organization of bad guys. So if the more that you can sharpen that and clarify that standout element, the stronger of a logline it'll be. It's well written enough though that I get the idea. I mean, I understand who the character is and what he's up against and why it matters and things like that. But just yeah, in terms of that sharpening that originality and hook, try to see if you can highlight that a bit.
Okay, absolutely. I'll look into that. All right, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Um, Taylor has shared something. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm going down the list. We'll check in with Megan next. Megan.
Sorry, I'm just listening in. I'm at work today.
Oh, okay. All good. Nacho, do you want to check in?
Yeah. I mean, I actually do have kind of like a comedy action horror script that I wrote a while back that I might try doing as sort of like a rewrite during this course. Um, that's the one about the giant turtles. Um, so it's been long enough that I feel like it's sufficiently dusty to go back and like look at it with fresh eyes.
Yeah. Did you ever share that one?
No. I think I did table reads of like part of it, but I hadn't done the whole thing. So yeah, it might be worth maybe doing a table read of the whole script and then, figuring out, getting some feedback and figuring out what changes to make.
Sure. I always loved that premise and wanted to read more of that. But yeah, if you're ready, dust it off. Do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Niku, are you in this class? Are you working on a feature that you'd like to tell us about? Okay, maybe not. That's all right. You can feel free to let us know in the text chat if you're able to later. Taylor, what are you working on?
So gonna be honest, I only saw Feature Bootcamp week 1, and jumped in. There's something else I'm currently working on, totally unrelated to action horror, but there's an idea I've been messing around with for quite a while. I wrote something similar to it. I we read it in table reads. Um, and I've been messing around with that. It could be action horror, but it's a very similar idea to that. Just about a tattoo artist who, on $13, I don't know if you guys are aware, most tattoo shops on Friday the 13th do $13 tattoos, and they're always packed. Um, they're just, yeah, it's an absolute shit show at tattoo shops. Um, and so uh, I was like, what if a tattoo artist accidentally had cursed ink and on the busiest day of their year accidentally tattooed a ton of people with this cursed ink? This is an idea I played around with for a year or two. Yeah, so just an artist who accidentally tattoos a bunch of people with um, this new ink that curses everybody, and then she has to go around and find all of the people she's tattooed and basically remove the tattoos.
Okay. And you've already written this, you said, or this is just an idea?
No, this is an idea. I wrote something similar to this about a woodworker who cuts down a ancient tree that's cursed, and everybody who buys his furniture um, like takes the curse on themselves, like for being like uh, it being in their home. So it is a very similar idea. Um, I kind of have the general gist of it down because I mean it's one of those things where it's like I think it's gonna share a lot of similarities to with another script I wrote, but you know they're both their own thing. So
No one else knows that. You're the only one that knows that. So I think that wouldn't be an issue.
yeah, yeah.
And so take me into for a second. You're saying before the spreading artwork consumes the city. What does that mean?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know the whole logic that I'm playing with here. I thought
Okay.
it sounded okay in the log line. Um,
Well,
maybe I need to remove that. But I need to definitely kind of get that logic down of
yeah.
how this would spread.
Why don't you what if you did like it's an intel like it could either be sort of like a virus like a or like it turns the people into sort of it possesses them in a way, like maybe
Yeah,
once the tattoo has taken you, then you become a sort of zombie or like some kind of like it controls you or your mind somehow, it turns you into a monster. That might be a
yeah.
little easier to understand than I don't know what it looks like when how does artwork consume the city. Does that mean that the tattoo starts spreading from person to person? Maybe there's something there. In which case it's almost
Yeah.
like the again sort of zombie-ish like infection kind of idea. Or maybe it's the I mean, does it matter what the tattoos are of? I wonder. Like, does that affect like the mutation they get, or the like? You know, you might imagine if I tattooed a dragon on one person with this ink, do they turn into a dragon monster, as opposed to if I tattooed a bunny on someone else with the ink, do they turn into a bunny monster? You know what I mean? Could be something there.
Yeah, I definitely did not consider that. That's a great idea that I am writing in my notes now. Yeah, depending on what it is, that could be really cool. Um, yeah, it was I don't know, like when I thought of this, it was just like I don't know, I was getting tattooed and I was like watching needles and stuff, and I was like, we don't really play enough with needles in horror. Like, and needles are scary as shit. Um,
You watch Saw
I
2?
mean, for me, yeah, dude, that is one of the most horrific scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
bad.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It is awful. Yeah, that is probably like one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen. Um, but yeah, maybe subconsciously that was part of it. That kind of got me thinking, um, thinking about this was just like, damn, that's scary as shit. Like, yeah, I have like a opening scene like with like you're just seeing just needles going in the skin, like like extra close up and blood, and then it like we do like a bait and switch, and then like we pull out and it's just like a consensual tattoo session. Um
You're a sickening killer,
and
but it's okay. You're in the
y-
right place. We're
yeah,
all
so
we're all diseased, and that's why we're writing these diseased things. It's a good idea.
yes,
I want to also suggest maybe seeing have you seen the movie Splinter from 2008?
Splinter.
Yeah, 2008 or 9. This is a low budget horror, mostly centered on a gas station, but one of the cooler and more creative kind of monsters that we've seen before, which is almost like, you know what ferrofluid is?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's kind of like a puddle of ferrofluid that like gets infiltrates your body, and then it can sort of like bubble and burst out of you in these spiky protrusions and cause your limbs to like break and snap in all different directions, and it turns you into sort of like a puppet freak. It's pretty gross and scary. And I'm thinking it might make a little more sense rather than saying that you're set the stakes a little bit smaller, rather than it's going to like rather than even in the log line saying which it's going to take over the whole town. Although maybe to some extent that is where it ends up going. Maybe even your hero's doing this to try to save the people that have the tattoos on them, right? I can, if they're turning into monsters, I could save them if I, as quick as I can. I tattooed 10 people that day. I have to go try to save them with a knife, but slowly, I guess they're getting corrupted into these some sort of villains or beasts. Just an idea. You might also look at something like Slither, which is sort of like people being taken over in a small town kind of genre.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this movie, but it looks like it's on HBO. I'm gonna check it out later today.
Yeah, Splinter and Slither are people to check out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Keep going with this. Thank you for that. All right, let's hear from Vicky.
Hi. Right now I'm just in the process of the log line and outlining. I'm still like reworking my log line. It is a bit tough, but there I'm going.
Okay. Do you want to share today? Have you already posted it?
And no, I'm gonna post it in a bit.
Okay, we'll review it in a bit then. Thank you for sharing. Alrighty. Did I miss anyone? Okay, that looks like everyone. Let's jump right in. So, boot camp ground rules and ideas. We've all heard these before. You've all, I think most of you have been in at least one boot camp. We ask that you use your real name if you're using a screen name. Get used to sharing those ideas even at the early stages, and don't worry about someone's going to steal your idea or it's going to ruin my idea if I share it too early. Should be used to sharing even the half-formed ideas and then allowing the feedback that you get to help shape how you continue to develop that idea. It's best to just pick something wild and interesting and different, and just something that will hold your attention for the 8 weeks. If you're going into this course, you're not trying to write a masterpiece with this. Probably don't write something that will take extra research, like a historical, unless you have a strong foundation in that period or culture already. Just don't do time travel. Believe me, it's been 4 years. No one has to this day completed a time travel script in any boot camp ever, even once. It has still not been done. That is an unbroken record, and that rule has been there since that suggestion has been there since like the second boot camp. So just be careful with that. Also, watch out just for anything that's too complex on the page, such as stories that involve lots of clones of the same people, parallel universes or multiverses, extensive flashback structures that involve different timelines. Try not to write something like sharp objects if you're just writing a bootcamp script and you're trying to learn the basics, because you have to just write a bunch of scripts and do this a bunch before you're going to get improved, before you're going to get better. You got to focus on quantity over quality. I know it sounds counterintuitive. Most artistic crafts when you're starting are going to say focus on quality over quantity. But here, it takes a lot of investment and time and work and a couple weeks at least of dedication to come up with a full film script, and also requires you to overcome things like the self-doubt that it's not going to be good enough. In the recent Spooktacular, the number one reason that everyone that showed up were like struggling, we were like getting towards the end, and it was like, are we even close to somebody having a finished outline yet? It seemed to me, my assessment was that the members that showed up were sort of just afraid to make choices. We're just sort of afraid to pick something bad in order to get to the next sequence. And you're allowed to make dumb, bad scenes and choices. Sometimes when you're in writers' rooms, they'll even be like, okay, bad pitch, it's this. Let's just pick something stupid for now, pick the boring, cliched version of it first just to get it up there, and then we'll be able to work on it from that point. But like, you can't allow that indecision and paralysis to stop you from making choices on your plot. Like, if I give you half an hour, you should be able to come out with a full set of story beats. It doesn't matter how good they are. So try to divorce yourself from this idea of what I write has to be good or has to live up to my expectations for it, and try not to write something too meaningful to yourself or to your family or to history or to anything else. This is not an important story in the sense that it needs to be gotten just right. You can get it wrong. You can do a bad job. It's okay to just try and fail, but you have to be finishing scripts. In order to get better, you must be finishing scripts and moving on to the next one. The quality does not matter. Hope that makes sense. That is the biggest impediment to anyone improving at this. Almost everyone who starts this gives up before they finish even one single script. By continuing past a script, you are past probably 70% of people that ever even attempt screenwriting. But you got to be finishing. Okay, any questions on the ground rules? Okay, we'll keep going then. You can make your sketchbook now if you want to. Open up that Google Doc and make a new document. Just call it name of the movie sketchbook if you have the name. If you don't have the name, just call it action horror movie sketchbook if you want. At the top, the only things you really need to include are going to be title, genre, logline, and comps. We'll get into what each of those means in more detail as we go on. You can start filling that out right now with a list of ideas, inspirations, influences, links to articles or videos, lines of dialogue, characters, set pieces, whatever comes to mind. You can start just in an unsorted manner, just kind of start aggregating them here in your sketchbook document. You're working up to a logline, which I'm sure you've heard about if you've been on the server before, but that's going to be the one sentence expression of what is this movie about? So essentially, who is doing what and why does it matter? So the standard template will go when or after inciting incident, an adjective protagonist must conflict before or else states. Try to work up to something like that, and you can share that today for feedback if you need to. Usually we're wanting to try to sharpen that hook as much as possible. To avoid this problem that I referred to earlier as shark movie syndrome, which is sort of just restating a problem again and again in just really simple terms, you want to always bring out what makes your story unique. Imagine that your audience has seen a lot of stuff like this, but we may not have seen one with that exact monster or that exact rule or that limitation or that main character that's going up against those things. We've seen a lot of, let's say, zombie movies, but have we ever seen a zombie movie on a Zeppelin? I haven't. That's all you really need when it comes to horror. Like horror thriller is great because the audience is predictable in a certain way. Like they know the sort. I'll say we. I'm in the audience. We know the sorts of things that we want to see, and we are willing to accept a lot in order to get more of that sort. Like we'll watch straight to streaming, straight to Tubi, Sci-Fi Pictures original movies because that's the only way we can watch a movie about a wereshark. You know what I mean? There's not like some prestige option to watch an A24 wereshark movie that I'm aware of. So we'll take almost anything. Dead Zeppelin is a good ass title. You could literally write that right now, and that sells itself. Why does it feel like it would have to be Nazi zombies too? It doesn't have to be, but like you could do Nazi zombies on that one. Just saying. Maybe I've been ruined by too many pulp novels and magazines about fighting Nazis on Zeppelins. Okay, so some mashup or variation of familiar elements. It can be as easy as just, but my monster does this. You know what I mean? What about aquatic vampires? Have you ever seen that? I haven't. That would be a great foundation for an action horror movie. You can start from the simplicity of just, well, it's a threat that I kind of get, but I haven't seen one quite like that. Or it's a setting that I understand what the threat is, but now I can think of new games that I would be able to play given the limitations and rules of that place. What's a location you've never seen a werewolf movie?
School.
A school. Okay. I think Ginger Snaps is a werewolf movie set in a school, so I may have. But if you haven't, that's okay. You can always come up with your own versions of these. What else? Where have we never seen a mummy movie take place?
Somebody say nursing home.
A nursing home.
Yeah.
That's Bubba Hotep.
That's
Hang
the
on.
hotel. Yeah.
The White House. Thank you, Taylor. Okay, we've never seen a mummy in the White House, have we? See, it's easy. Coming up with good premises can be fun. These are good boot camp script ideas because it blooms in the mind. You can see a poster for Mummy in the White House, or I don't even know what is he the president? Is the president fighting the mummy? Like, what are we even doing there? Somebody work on that. Nacho suggests Mummy Mia. Is that like a musical about mummy trying to determine the who's the parent of his child or something like that? I've actually never seen Mamma Mia. Okay, so keep working on those, and if you are just coming up with an idea now, pick something funny, pick something fun, entertaining. Pick what about somebody name a monster, any monster, quick, don't think about it.
A brownie.
Okay, a
Is that a
ghost
monster?
brownie, the fairies, like the little fairies that
Yeah.
Okay, ghost brownies. There we go. Or you could just do. I mean, you don't even need a variation on that. I was expecting someone to say vampire. I'd be like ghost vampire, but you could just take a kind of obscure, off the beaten path monster like brownies, sure, and make a whole horror premise around that. I recently saw an Irish horror movie. I forget the title, but it was based on goblins, like the wee folk, the fae folk, little green guys that kidnap children and like eat them and stuff in the backyard in their mushroom grove. So yeah, you could pick a monster we've never seen played to be really scary before. Maybe the closest to that might be Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which would be the Del Toro produced movie about I think in the movie she refers to them as gnomes, but they're like this tall and they grab little scissors and knives and stuff, and it's kind of like Gremlins. Ghost piranhas. There you go. Ghost shark. I think I have seen an ad for a ghost shark movie. And the thing about the ghost shark is that it can leap out of any body of water. So I think it attacks people out of bathtubs and sinks and stuff like that too. So if you even walk past a stagnant, like a puddle, it can like lash out and grab you and pull you in. That's just good, clean fun. All right. So this is the order that we usually go. We start with logline and sketchbook. We're working on that right now. We're going into story beats, which you want to get to start on this week if you can. If not, then start on them by the next bootcamp class. After that, we're doing scene cards, where you're writing that full paragraph for every scene. That includes both the title for that scene that clarifies its purpose, as well as the pages that is allocated to take place on. So you get a good sense of building out the pacing of the whole story, and you're going to understand how long you should basically be spending in each scene. And finally, in week 4, we go to pages. Once you have the full set of scene cards, that's going to include a really, really detailed roadmap through every page of your whole movie. And you're going to go to pages, and you're going to be executing about 3 to 5-ish pages a day, more or less. Even if you just write a couple pages a day, you should be able to keep up with the milestones and wrap up with your script by the end of week 8, which will wrap and conclude by the end of the year. Any questions on the steps? Okay, we'll go right into it then. I would start making your guys' sketchbooks. If you've not done so, we'll go right into killing monsters after this. So in this, there's no right or wrong thing to include. You can write ideas for your characters. You can paste in pictures. You can include multiple tabs in Google Docs now, which is really handy. You can include links. You can include copy and pasted text from research materials or Wikipedia articles. You can start coming up with blockbuster moments, which will be awesome scenes that you don't have to have any context for, or you don't have to know how we get there at all. If we're in the Zeppelin zombie, what was it, zombies on the Zeppelin? Zombie Zeppelin movie, and you're like, okay, how about a scene where our character's on the fist fighting a Nazi on the roof of the Zeppelin? We kick the Nazi off and he flies into one of the propellers. That would be an awesome moment, or like defeating the villain kind of climax, maybe. Or maybe it would be a good midpoint. Who cares? It's just a cool moment. Just write it down. So if you just start with awesome stuff and you have a strong enough sense of what is awesome in your genre, it should be easy for you to come up with a list of just cool stuff that could happen in the movie. Doesn't even matter who it happens to or why or when it is. If your premise does not yield a bunch of ideas for blockbuster moments like that, you probably picked the wrong idea. You should be picking ideas that a bunch of like seeds of cool stuff just lead to mud. If you're finding that you're not able to come up with anything like that, you may be writing in the wrong genre. Any questions about Sketchbook? Okay, we'll go right into killing monsters then. Got a bunch of monsters here. Maybe you guys recognize all these by sight. That is a vampire in the middle. He has kind of all sharp teeth, though, kind of the like Nosferatu style. That is Nick Cage as Dracula from Redfield. So we'll ask the question: how do you defeat this monster? How many variations on that idea can you think of, as in cross-culturally, perhaps? Would it make a good antagonist for an action horror movie, and why or why not? Okay, somebody want to volunteer and pick a monster from the collage here?
Can we do the Kraken?
Okay, yep, we have sea monster or sea serpent. You can interpret it how you want.
All right, sea serpent.
Okay. How do we beat it?
With a Viking sword.
If we're Beowulf, yes, indeed, a big sword that we use it to split down the middle. That's one way. So just kind of like mundane methods might work against it. A challenge might be that it's really big, though. If it was not Viking times and we aren't a badass hero, how would we try killing it then?
The deoxygenation bomb from Godzilla
Okay,
1950.
super weapons. Sure. A big bomb. Dehydrate Godzilla. Anything else?
A bigger sea snake eats it.
There you go. Okay, now we are in kaiju territory, aren't we? The sort of food chain of kaiju. There's always a bigger fish. Anything else? Interestingly, one of them it doesn't really one of the methods does not really seem to be shoot it with guns or battleships, does it? I guess they often try things like this in these movies, but that's usually not what works. Is that right?
Sure. How about we uh there are these brine pits at the bottom of the ocean in some areas that are like super toxic. What if there was like a giant one of those we could lure it into somehow or like trap it under?
That's a good idea. The Meg 2 kind of experiments with this concept, in which there is sort of that movie purports that there is kind of like another layer to the ocean that we don't even know about. That there's sort of like a really thick layer of sediment that's at like basically the like Marianas Trench level depth of I forget where in the ocean it's saying this is, but then underneath that it's saying there's like a whole separate ecosystem of way bigger sort of sea monsters that stay underneath the cloud for some reason. I forget why. I guess it's toxic to them or something. But yeah, the premise of that movie is kind of like they start breaching that barrier after, and we go down to try to see what's down there. There's monsters. They emerge. We end up with giant sharks. Okay, let's ask some more questions. These are some good ideas so far. Would it make a good antagonist in an action horror movie?
Maybe. If you did more than one and you had, I don't know, like a water world kind of situation where people are uh fighting it, that might be action worthy.
Yeah, Pacific Rim is basically that, right? We've got giant robots that are enlisted to fight these sea monsters emerging from this crack between dimensions at the bottom of the ocean. The challenge might be that a singular sea monster is sort of difficult to. It's like the kaiju problem, right? Um, and if you're just an average person, you can't really meaningfully combat it. So sometimes it's going to end up with your characters more just like running away from or trying to escape from these monsters, which feels more like traditional horror than action, because that foundation of action is always that we can fight the monster. But then again, we do see certain kaiju movies even take on this idea that humans might be able to fight the kaiju in some way. Even Godzilla minus one has some scenes where that, like notably that scene where the people are escaping in the boat from Godzilla that's heading through the water after them. They're dropping mines to try to blow him up, but he's getting closer and closer. So yeah, you could definitely play it so humans can meaningfully fight the sea monsters. Anything else you want to add on sea monsters, Luke?
Not really. I just tried to pick a hard one.
It is a tough one. Yeah, I like the idea that we have to get another monster to fight it. That seems to usually be a pretty good standby.
Or if we fought it underwater, underwater is kind of a good setting for horror.
Oh, sure.
the abyss, that kind of thing.
Especially if the monster has little spawnlings, like it's got it's got eggs that hatch, and it's got like 100 little baby squids that act as its little servants or whatever. That's always extra creepy. Somebody want to pick another monster? Let's hear how do we beat it? What are the variations that you've seen before? Let's get one more.
I could pick a monster
Okay.
if that's someone else hasn't. How about Ghost?
Okay.
Anybody do Ghost yet? Or did somebody
No.
do that already?
No, we've only done
Okay.
Sea Serpent. You're the first ones to do Ghost. All right. How do we defeat a ghost?
Okay, because I'm at work, so I've been sort of doing things in between. All right, let's go.
Okay.
So,
We've got some questions on
Ghost.
the board.
How would you defeat this monster? How many variations can you think of? Would it make a good anti? Yeah, well, ghosts are great because ghosts, have different variations from sort of malevolent to benevolent, so they could be used to make TV series, action movie, that kind of thing. Even serialized movies. The ghost can prove to be any number of things. It could prove to be not a ghost at all, but some malign actor, like in Scooby-Doo. Or you could have to maybe, in order to, bring the spirit to rest, find out, who killed me, or something like that, right? That's a variation. You could have to, seek out arcane knowledge so that the ghost could be banished. It might require a specific thing to banish a specific ghost based on what their previous life was and what it entailed, or maybe it involves finding a magical thing. So there's like so many options with Ghost.
Right. Yeah.
I
It's
think
probably
a satisfying one is the solving of the why they died. But go ahead, please.
Yeah. The ghost is one of the most varied character archetypes in all of fiction because every culture has their own version of ghost. Every single culture. And they're all different. They're all a little different. They all have certain elements in common, but then again, there's different rule sets, different religious elements, and sometimes even different scientific conceptions of how ghosts might be working. Ghostbusters, for instance, is sort of takes a much more brass tacks approach to it, where it's like, no, we can just use a science canon and we can stick the ghost in a ghost jar, basically, and we can use, sci-fi to fight them. We don't have to fulfill their quest, or we don't have to like play by their rules. We can sort of impose our own rules on them. That's another kind of like science-based variant where we purport that ghost might even be a phenomenon that could be studied just like any other, like light or sound or something like that. And then you're right, a lot of the time it is sort of a ghost has a quest attached to them because the ghost has some sort of what we usually think of as unfinished business that then becomes essentially a task that you have to do that will put them to rest. In an action horror movie, maybe that would require your character to take on frantic physical feats in order to accomplish their task. Maybe that could work. Ghosts are tricky when it comes to action horror, though, because they are usually intangible, right?
Well, they don't necessarily have to do. I mean, poltergeists can pick things up and throw them around.
Mhm.
There could be a way to make them tangible. So, you have to get this way in order to make them, tangible in order to kill them, right?
Could
So
work.
the way to kill them is to find the thing that makes them killable,
Right.
that makes them solid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a ghost movie do that, but you certainly could. Like, I mean, imagine the finale of the movie is just beating up the ghost. I don't think I've only seen that in like Scary Movie 3, probably.
And we bring it back to life so we can kill it again.
Yeah, exactly. And
Properly this time.
now it's dead forever, I guess. I guess we would usually imagine
Yeah.
if you kill something in a mundane way, then it would become a ghost. But if it's a ghost, then you usually can't kill it again in a mundane way. But you get to make the rules. I think I have seen some Chinese Hong Kong movies as well, where you have to fight the ghost, like use martial arts on the ghosts. So in that case, the ghosts are solid, but only to those who have the right magic. So maybe that's why martial arts work
Now,
against them, is because you're.
I was
Go ahead.
by a drug cartel, and now you have to hunt them all down. That's pretty actiony.
Sure. Yeah, it's like the dead police chief. He's like, you, my top cop, you failed to take down the drug dealers while I was alive. Now that I'm dead, I'm going to haunt you until you finish this cold case. That could be fun. There's definitely some
Rambo
room
the
there.
fuck up. Like,
Rambo with a ghost? Come on. That's so good. Someone do it. See, we genre fans are easy to amuse. We are. If you know the ingredients, then it's easy to come up with a premise that genre fans would be like, okay, yes, I would see that. You have to then make good on it, and like most movies like this are not that well executed. So if you do a good job, it's sort of just like an extra special bonus. We've got a few other examples here as well. So, anything else you want to add on Ghost, Megan?
Oh no, I think I have taken enough of everyone's time for sure.
Oh, okay, all good. We covered a lot. I think that yeah, ghosts are tricky to make work in action unless you have either the foundation of the quest that the characters are on be action based, or sometimes you can do something like the ghosts are possessing people, then we have to fight the people they have possessed, and that allows us to win somehow as well. Yeah, usually ghosts are more of an intangible, like kind of quest giver archetype. We're not usually fighting them directly. Sometimes we are, usually not. Let's just do one more. Shout out anybody. How do we beat a zombie?
Bullet to the head.
I think if you're writing a zombie movie now, you need to give it a little twist, something, fresh. So you might want to make the zombie tougher than what we've seen before, right? Like, I mean, obviously they're pretty simple, easy to take out in everything we've seen, but you might want to maybe these zombies wear protective gear or something, or like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like somehow, or they're, I mean, can you imagine a zombie who does like martial arts or something, like they're kind of sluggish, but maybe they are,
I can imagine.
I don't know. Yeah. So I think like if we were to do something new, then we have to think of, it needs to be sort of, because I think in all the previous sort of zombie movies, it was sort of like, you just have to avoid getting bitten, and
Mhm.
they kind of win by overwhelming you with just so many mobs of zombies, right?
Mhm.
The movie that invented the concept of zombies craving brains, it somehow became a trope, is called Return of the Living Dead. It's not actually in the Living Dead franchise. The zombies are probably the scariest in all of media. They can't be killed. Like you can hack them up into little tiny pieces, and the little tiny pieces will keep trying to kill you.
Mhm.
Like they basically have to be
That's interesting.
like separated molecule by molecule. Like I don't know, like even burning them doesn't seem to work.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're kind of like the infection from the thing, where the individual limbs keep crawling around. But I will say, so it can be part of your hook for your zombies to be a little bit different, but you don't inherently have to pick something incredibly different. The like Train to Busan, for instance, probably the most successful zombie movie
Mhm.
of the past 10 years. They're fast. We've seen a lot of fast zombies before that. There's nothing really incredibly different about the zombies in Train to Busan. They have a kind of like they seem to not be, they're almost a little bit more insect-like in some ways. I guess they don't really seem to be able
I
to
think
perceive what's going on
the,
when the light around them
the
is
hook there
flashing.
is that
Go ahead.
they're on a train, like, right? So it's
Yeah.
like you have, that makes it a lot tougher for the protagonist.
Yeah, the hook there is more of the location. You're totally right.
Yeah.
And the rules of the location. And they really make full use of that train.
Hmm. But if
I
you're thinking
mean,
of
we can do what I showed with the zombies. It could be plants.
Oh, you mean the Plants vs. Zombies video game? Yes, absolutely. Let me just bring that up here. We could, in fact, yeah.
Here's a scary thought. What if the zombies don't lose their intelligence? What if they remain intelligent and they're just as intelligent and capable of using things and figuring out what you're doing to come and kill you?
Right. Yeah, that's been explored a bit as well. It's not quite as common. I will say the Return of the Living Dead franchise does also touch on that. There's even a famous scene where the zombies, like in the background, the zombies are eating the paramedics, and the zombie gets on the walkie-talkie and is like, "Send more paramedics," because they want to eat more people. Okay. So the specific nuances of your monster or setting can absolutely form the foundation of your premise. And by having a really clearly defined premise like that, you can pretty much tell if you're executing your premise scenes properly. If you're hitting those blockbuster moments, it should feel like, well, this could only happen in this premise, and I am utilizing the unique games and tools and rules that are available here, and exploiting them to the greatest extent that I can. The premise is the driving force behind everything that happens on screen. It's going to include both the character, the world, the central obstacle, and like that arrangement of dramatic elements that's going to create the conflict. That will sustain about 90 minutes to 2 hours of movie. Typically don't go above 2 hours for action horror unless you're basing it on, unless it's based on a book or something like that. So we are trying to answer this question, what is it about? And if you have something as simple as it's a zombie movie set on, let's pick a new thing. How about a jet ski? Wait, no, that's too small. How about a submarine? Have we done zombies on a submarine? I don't think so. That can bloom in the mind in a really great way. That kind of gives you what you need for someone to say, okay, I would read that. All you really need is specificity of the threat and perhaps even how it connects to the location. Sometimes the character also may be the hook as well, especially in action horror where we have a little bit more focus on the hero, thinking of like Blade and things like that, right? Blade is more of a superhero that lives in a horror world. So I'm not gonna read the whole quote. You don't have to have an amazing, perfect answer for this right away, but you might be thinking of why am I picking this story? Is this something that's kind of universally relevant in that it is connected to the basic human condition? Like I have some stakes that are connected to life and death and love and things like that. You know, the stuff that matters to everyone and moves anyone. And then things that are certainly relevant today. You might think of what is in the news right now. What technology is being developed right now? What are people talking about? What's in the zeitgeist? And how can I write a story that touches on both of those things? You can always be looking at the headlines and using that to assess what are people afraid of right now? What is going to be a threat a couple of years down the line? What is culture revolving around? What is culture bouncing off of? What is the conversation about? Those hot button topics often make great central core ideas for horror thriller type movies. Zombie submarine movie called Dead in the Water. Maybe try a few more variations, but that nothing bad about. I mean, that pretty much works. All you need is a good pun for a zombie or an idiom of some kind for a zombie title, right? So premise is pretty important because it is the criteria by which people judge if they're going to read your work. It's going to imply the genre, and therefore, depending on who you're talking to, it's going to tell them if they have some ability or interest in making that thing or even reading that thing. And just at the end of the day, stronger loglines and stronger premises are more likely to be read and to become successful movies. So let's get a little bit into high concepts. What do we actually mean by high concept? So we're referring to some people think high concept means complex concept, but it's actually kind of the opposite. It's referring more to a high reliance on concept, an easily expressible and explainable concept that stands alone to sort of sell the movie. So it is a high reliance on just the idea to get people to go to the theater. It is not relying on, well, this would star Chris Hemsworth, though. We don't need to know who it would star. We have a story that evidently on its face seems to be amusing and have a kind of ironic element to it, something that feels like we can get personally invested in that character's journey and that we want to follow them all the way through from beginning to end of it. And it's going to feature the sort of thrills and chills and excitement that we want to see from the genre. What's this movie here? Has anyone either read or seen this? I haven't either read or seen it, but I don't even need to know how good this premise is.
Abraham Lincoln versus vampires is the concept.
Yeah. Can you read the tagline on the poster? I'll make it bigger.
President by day, hunter by night.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen it. You know what I mean? Like, I know exactly what that kind of experience is gonna sort of be. It's like a tongue-in-cheek, ironic, but also played sort of straight with badass action sequences, sort of movie of Abraham Lincoln. I'm guessing lots of slow motion, probably, as he leaps through the air and decapitates vampires with his wood chopping axe, right? Like, that's what we're getting into.
Yep.
I haven't seen it, but I know that's what it is. Go ahead.
Also, the vampires are the Confederate leaders as well.
Are they? Oh, have you seen it?
I have seen it, yes.
How is it? What do you think? Recommend? Should I check it out?
Not really. It's not terrible, but I wouldn't go out of your way to watch it or anything.
Okay, fair enough. That is kind of a nice addition. So it's sort of the Civil War is sort of recontextualized as a humans versus vampires thing, I guess. In that case, that's a nice wrinkle.
It's like a vampire Illuminati, like manipulating the world behind the scenes through evil machinations like the Confederacy.
Yeah, I imagine if we continue this world, they're probably vampire Nazis later down the line, right? Like for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
We got to get Blood Rain in here for that one.
Yeah, where's the sequel? Who could we have fight the vampire Nazis?
FDR, right? I guess.
Maybe. I would watch that.
Eisenhower. Oppenheimer, extended universe where he teams up with I don't know. Look, you continue that logic on your own.
Einstein.
There you go. That now it's just starting to feel like sort of a Hellboy spinoff or something. Okay, just to make sure that I am oh, never mind. I never started recording this straight to my computer. This is just going straight to the cloud. Sorry, Nacho. I was going to say I'll start the new recording right now just to make sure I end up with 2 videos that are the right size, but I think that we'll have to try that again for next one.
Sorry, but I have to chime in on this FDR thing.
Okay.
That would be awesome with like a James Bond style flying wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like with all kinds of like missiles and shit in it.
Oh,
Sorry.
for sure. Yeah, it would be like Iron Man. He'd upgrade it over the course of the movie. Like at the beginning, you got to imagine he'd start out with just like a buzzsaw on it or something like that, and then he's got to get a gadget guy. He's got to get like a steampunk gadget guy to help him, or what do you call it, diesel punk gadget guy to upgrade him more and more. Somebody should write that as well. Just saying. So high concept is it blooms in the mind. It sort of, I mean, I haven't seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but I could write my own version of that or my own outline of that right away. I can imagine the exact sort of appeal. I know who that's for. I know the ironic kind of central conflict, like that. I know who the character is and what he's up against, and his unique or interesting tactics or personality in addressing those threats. It's all there. The opposite of this is execution dependent. So it's not that high concept is inherently good and execution dependent is inherently bad. But if you're trying to be a screenwriter, not just a writer director, or a director, something like this. If you want to be a screenwriter who writes movies for other people to make, then try to focus on learning the skill of this high concept premises that seem sort of obvious in a way. They seem like I often frame it as like they already exist somewhere. You think of it or you hear the title, you're like, that somebody has to have written that. Some version of that has got to be out there somewhere. I think it was Shane Black who I saw in an interview talk about one time how the best premises are like this platonic ideal of the statue that exists in the block of marble. That sort of concept that artists talk about sometimes where the statue's already there. The block of marble is like an impediment to getting to that statue. And all you're trying to do is really chip away everything that's not the statue. Hope that makes any sense. I know that's kind of abstract. Execution dependent is the opposite of high concept, and that's usually going to refer to movies that it's not really obvious what that would be like just from hearing the logline or seeing the poster or seeing the pitch. And in action horror, I don't even like. There's something pretty off about your premise if it's not blooming in the mind. So, like, if you're sticking to our genre theme, this would be kind of a bad sign. Normally, though, maybe you do have just sort of a complex drama or a storyline that doesn't sound that dramatic, but it is. Like Whiplash doesn't sound that dramatic. The stakes don't sound that high, but you watch it and it sort of sells it, and you're like, oh, I get it. Okay, it's about competitive drummers in college, but it is just really intense. But you can't write that in a logline. But it is just really intense, or but it is just really funny in your logline. If you feel the need to do that, it's probably not high concept. So try to work on this skill and know what this means and be able to do this, even if your most personal work or the stuff you care about the most doesn't always have to be high concept. Any questions on high concept versus execution dependent premises?
Is there a way to sort of elevate execution dependent premises in the logline to make the logline more sort of appealing and feel more high concept than maybe the movie is?
Usually a central relationship is the answer.
Okay.
And that's the difference between guy has to break out of prison and guy has to team up with his ex-wife that is one of the guards to escape from prison. It's like, okay, now it's starting to bloom in the mind. Now I can see how that dynamic might play out. And now I can start to see those unique games and how those characters might bounce off each other and highlight each other's weaknesses and drive each other crazy and maybe build in a sort of implicit relationship arc right there. So almost always relationship will help you find that specificity of that premise if it feels too execution dependent for you. Hope that helps. Also, setting makes, especially in action horror, makes a great kind of central, let's say, unifying element for the story. Any other questions there? Okay, we'll keep going. Let's get into Gothic Punk, then we'll do comps. We have a comp exercise. We'll touch on titles, then we'll go right into I think we won't do all of these slides, but we will go into your guys' workshop projects for at least our last half hour. So we'll have plenty of time for you to get your either feedback on your premise or workshop a new idea. Okay. Gothic Punk. Maybe you guys have heard of this sort of punk subgenre kind of thing. What are some versions of that punk subgenre that you've heard before?
Solar punk,
Yeah, thank you. Solar
diesel
punk,
punk.
diesel punk,
Maya punk.
Maya punk. That's a rare one, but okay. What else? Any others?
Well, the typical steampunk.
Steampunk. Yep, that's one of the big ones.
Atom punk
There we go.
or ray gun gothic.
I love that one. Need to see more of that. So,
There's one that's only in a book that I think it's called silk punk.
I think I've heard of Silk This is kind of usually based in like ancient China and features a lot of like sails and like um, ships that are sort of like able to do sometimes impossible things by using crazy sails. And maybe also like, am I missing something? Some part of that? Is there something else part of that as well? I'm not quite familiar with Silk Punk, I guess.
I mean, technology is based like in like Taoist and things like that, like principles.
Okay, based in Taoist principles. Interesting.
Oh, biopunk, one of my favorites.
There you go. Yeah, biopunk, based on manipulation of genetics and biology. So this sort of
Is
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was just gonna say, like, is cassette punk a thing, or is it there's something I've seen like with
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
never heard of that one.
cassette?
that's a thing. It's like retrofuturism set in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, like Alien.
Yeah, maybe called cassette futurism sometimes.
Yeah. I think that one's less of a genre though, and more of a visual aesthetic. I'm not sure if that comes with
Right.
like plot elements
Mhm.
too. But yeah, the sort of it's like spaceships that look like the interior of a Volvo, basically, or like a Subaru. It's like
Right.
everything's got these big plastic buttons on it. Even Star Wars has a bit of that as well. Star Wars is kind of like halfway between that 80s sensibility and like 1940s World War II-ish kind of technology. Okay.
I mean, there's one that I like a lot too. That's clock punk.
Yeah, I love clock punk. I wrote a whole novel in a clock punk setting, which is sort of based on like Da Vincian devices with like wind-up springs and gears and stuff like that. So the punk suffix means a couple of things. To begin with, it is an aesthetic and a look and a feel to the thing, to the story. And so it can be described as just like a way the characters dress, the way that the world appears, the way the buildings are, the way that everything looks. To some extent, it is a plot sensibility, it is a character sensibility, and it is sort of that unifying connective tissue between all those things that creates what we might call a subgenre or like a flavor of subgenre. So to begin with, the first word usually gives us a clue as to the technology level or the aesthetic that is being utilized. And the punk kind of tells us that the story is based on subversion and rebellion and rejection of norms. And we're doing untraditional things with that technology, and the characters themselves may in some way be positioned as opposed to their society that they live in. That is at the core of the punk ethos. So Gothic punk, which is kind of, I may have even been coined by the World of Darkness writers in the early 90s, and is sort of the World of Darkness overriding sensibility that we see shades of in everything from The Crow, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Daybreakers, Dark City, Hellboy, Underworld, Constantine, like all of this. We have some roots in that grungy 90s anti-establishment music counterculture. We just do. The sort of like leather, skin tight leather and frosted tips, and sort of like the look of it is very connected to that subculture and music scene. It is also connected to the past. specifically kind of Victorian sensibilities as well. You see a mixture of like that sort of skin-tight leather and three-piece suits and gold pocket watches, especially in things like, what is it, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen here, where we see all of the above, all in one picture. A lot of antiquated technology is incorporated into the style here too. The characters aren't just using crazy guns; they're using guns with valves and steam gauges on the side, and crossbows that shoot lightning arrows, and vials of holy water that are launched from their the under barrels and things like that. So we are picking deliberately kind of anachronistic and aesthetics of the past that can be interwoven and remixed in new ways. We are always focusing on characters that sort of rebel and question authority, even if they don't start the story that way. They might start the story as part of the system, or the worker drone, or the office drone, or the brainwashed servant, or even one of the bad guys, like Fahrenheit 451. It's kind of like the character starts as like an agent of the machine, but then throughout the course of the story, they come to question and rebel against this and resist the system that they find themselves in. And in some cases, they manage to win and overcome it, and in some cases, they are overcome by it. More commonly in this sort of genre, they win for now. The world is still dark, but they will act as that kind of agent of light in all that darkness, and they will always be there. That sort of watchful, what does he say? The watchful guardian, the dark knight, that takes on that almost noirish role of the detective that sees the world as it is, and they exist outside of it, having rejected normal society. Incredible power of an arcane nature may exist off the beaten path or just under the surface, but it can only be accessed by those who embrace this Gothic idea and reject normal society. I think we saw a lot of that in recent Cinephile Society session on Nightbreed, which is the Clive Barker movie about essentially monster people that live in a graveyard, like a sort of hidden city underneath a graveyard. And the main character sort of ends up rejecting the human world and joining these underground freaks and becoming one of the misfit toys of this strange world. Sometimes it is more successful than others. What else? The heroes are these beaten down little guys struggling under the boots of these powerful establishment forces, which may in fact be invisible. A lot of the time we also see Gothic punk sensibilities mostly playing out in worlds where there is a surface level to the world, and then there's an underneath a hidden sort of world of whatever it is, right? Vampires, werewolves, aliens, sometimes everything if we're in X-Files or Buffy. Any cryptid or supernatural creature you can think of exists, and all the legends are true. That's another really common sort of action horror trope. Every bit of folklore is just true, and they're just true for different parts of the world. If you're Hellboy, you're always going to different parts of the world, and you're fighting fairies in Ireland, and then you go to Japan, you're fighting yokai, and you go to America, you're fighting Mothman and cryptids in Louisiana. And basically, we use the fun of the world folklore to say all of those things are real, and they are all different enemies to be overcome. Any other questions or thoughts on this idea of the Gothic punk aesthetic and sensibility?
It's sort of no longer considered cool, right? It's kind of like a joke at this point. Are there other sort of categories of this? Like, has this evolved into a new category or updated in some way recently?
I would say it's still around. There was just a new Matrix movie a couple of years ago. Like it definitely had a heyday. Like I would say the post Matrix, like early 2000s up to like 2010 was what we might call the heyday of this. Especially combining those wire fu sort of sensibilities with it. Like we even in things like what's it called? Hansel and Gretel witch hunters and stuff like this. I think maybe around 2010 to 2012 was where they started fading off. We got a couple more Underworld sequels though, even through the 2010s.
Sure.
Has it changed form in recent years? Maybe. I guess it is. I haven't seen a. Oh, you know which one that I'd recommend from pretty recently? The Witch Subversion, the Korean movie. There's two of these. The first one I think was 2018.
They're both so good.
Yeah, they're both good.
They're so good.
The first one's a bit better. The second one is sort of just a rehash of a lot of the first one, but it still has good parts. Yeah, it's still out there. Maybe it's not as popular in America anymore, but I think in anime we see this a lot as well. Stuff like Bleach or like there's plenty of sort of anime series about modern day urban fantasy monster hunter type characters that have cool outfits and giant swords. So yeah, maybe it's not in its heyday anymore, but it's still around.
All right. Is there a sort of cool punk rock horror aesthetic that people are leaning into currently that's different? Is there a different genre of this, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Not that I know of. Horror is really in a kind of a strange spot right now, where the big successful ones are going to be art house movies. Like horror is in kind of an art house space right now. We've moved away from these sort of really sort of like mainstream '90s action Hollywood kind of ideas for the most part. So like art house is doing really well right now, like art house indie horror dramas, and then big franchise movies like the Conjuring sequels. So that's kind of it. Like horror is in that weird stratified space right now. I'm not sure if there's something that has concretely emerged as like an evolved form of this, though. I'm not sure there's like a clear, clean Pokemon evolution of it yet.
Okay.
But you guys should write more of it because it's one of my favorites.
Oh, I love it. Like, maybe a little too much.
Nacho just wrote a movie recently in which, do you want to tell us what the Pope does in your movie where the Pope does a thing?
Oh yeah. So this is like uh it's like after she's possessed by a foul-mouthed demon, uh Justin Trudeau's sheepish interpreter um must like fight to get control of her life back to and stop World War III because she's but so the thing is they go to meet the Pope for a prayer breakfast and Justin's flipping pancakes and then the Pope tries to like get the demon out of her, but then it becomes like this crazy like kind of martial arts Van Helsing battle. Like the Pope is actually secretly the baddest, vampire hunter. But this was with Pope Francis, who is no longer with us. So it's kind of not as it was. I maybe more interesting because he seems very frail, right? And like I don't know. So I don't. We have to like change that
Okay,
around or something.
maybe you rewrote it a little bit. Yeah, the version I remember was little old Pope whips off his frock, and underneath it, he's got like a sort of leather gothic punk, like
Yeah,
buckles and knives and crossbows and stuff all over him, and he's like running off walls.
holy water, holy oil, holy balsamic vinegar, crossbows.
Oh yeah, he's got it all. So it lives on the gothic punk aesthetic.
Hmm.
So let's look at comps. Comps are this means that. And what is Underworld if not The Matrix meets Twilight? Am I right? Maybe it's The Matrix meets Anne Rice, I guess was probably
Yeah.
the idea there. But it does have the kind of vampire werewolf forbidden romance built
Hmm.
into it. It's just not emphasized that. I mean, like, it's just not that well. It's just not that strong, I guess. It's just like not
There's no love triangle, right?
I don't think there's a
Is
triangle.
there?
No, not in the
Hmm.
first one at least. But there is a forbidden romance between
Hmm.
the vampire and the werewolf guy.
Hmm. It's sort of
So
Romeo and
go ahead.
Juliet.
Yeah, I think that may have been kind of the idea. So the comps are an easy way to express your movie. Like, what is this? Who is this for? If you have a high concept premise, comps should just pretty much leap to mind. Sometimes a high concept premise is most easily expressed by those comps. Managers love comps. A lot of people that are reading scripts love them. They make it very easy to categorize and figure out what the story is trying to be, what its goals are. Don't try to be obscure and show off though, because if you pick something no one knows, you don't get bonus points. They just have to look it up, and they're just a little annoyed. And maybe don't pick things that are way overcomped if you can. You're only really going to know what's way overcomped if you're pitching a lot in Hollywood, but so don't worry too much about that. And if you start explaining the idea to someone and they start to kind of latch onto a comp, unless it's way, way, way off, don't usually correct them and tell them, no, it's nothing like that. Usually lean into it. It means they're kind of getting what you're going for. So try not to respond negatively to that if you can. Unless you're like, wait, no, you're imagining the wrong thing. You can always ask, has it been done with high quality or popularity recently, as in 10 years-ish, or with the same take? And if only one of those things is true, then you're totally fine. If two of those apply, then maybe it is not quite original enough. It was done in the same take within 10 years, maybe don't do it, or it was done with a high quality and popularity, with the same tape, for instance. Just use that as like a checklist of 3 boxes. One of them's a red flag, 2 of them is too far, but if it's just one, it's fine. Any questions on how to assess the originality of your idea and how to use this little checklist? Okay. Let's do a comp exercise, then we'll do open lab. I want to hear a list of action movies and then a list of horror movies. We'll start with action. Just list them off in the chat. Shout them out. Any action movies you guys can think of. I have Enter the
Crank.
Dragon, Commando, Great, thank you. Keep going.
Speed.
Thank you. Speed, fill up the chat. I'm going to start typing them in the chat to encourage everyone to keep writing. Yes, thank you. Rambo, keep going. Upgrade. We'll go with, thank you. Predator, keep going. Let's do, how about
Fast and Furious.
Election,
Fist of Fury?
election triad.
Election triad, like that? I've never heard of that.
Johnny Toe, Hong Kong mafia movie.
Oh, cool. Fast and Furious, Die Hard, thank you. Keep going.
Hard boiled.
Thank you.
Commando.
I already have Commando.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah, second one. Got some
Amazing.
Arnold representation.
Jim Kata, the gymnastics ninja.
Yes, please.
All right, keep going. You're going to be using these in your exercise, so you got to pick the ones you want to see. Rush Hour, thank you, Luke. Let's do one more.
Crank.
We already got it.
That Crank.
Oh.
How about instead of The Rock, we do Con Air?
Dongfang.
On air. What was yours,
Oh.
Sasha?
That's a good one. I was gonna say Dongfang Bat Bai. It's the one about it is actually action horror from Hong Kong about the ghost. I think it's like, what's the English translation? The East. Invincible Asia, Invincible East. I don't know. It's weird.
Okay,
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
I have not seen that one.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
that's already a match
yeah.
you want to choose for the action category. But it's funny. You can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what Nacho used to do for a living based on his recommendations. All right. We love the obscure martial arts stuff. Okay, so that's a good list of action. Let's go with list of horror. What have you guys got? Just straight horror. Don't do genre mashups.
Oh, can I not do Evil Dead?
Evil Dead. We can count the first Evil Dead. Sure. What else?
Luce's Blair Witch and Cobweb.
Blair Witch. Okay. Cobweb. Keep going. 3, 4 more.
The Witch.
Poltergeist. The Exorcist.
There you go.
Let's do one more.
Crawl.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, Crawl.
sorry.
Got it. All right. Got a pretty good list there. Did I miss anything that you guys were shouting out? Ritual, Hereditary. Thank you. I'll include this. Thank you. Vicky.
Critters.
Oh, okay. We'll do more. Critters. Hereditary. And Ritual. Okay, we've got our big list. We're going to need some volunteers now. The volunteer is going to pick one from a column of their choice, and then I'm going to give you the other one to mash it up with. And you don't have to come up with a perfect logline, but just start talking out loud and thinking of what would that movie be? What is the story? Who could that be about? What do I want to see in that movie? What are some of the set pieces? Just start brainstorming out loud. There's no wrong answers. Okay, volunteers?
I can go.
Okay, thank you, Luke. And I'd love with one more volunteer, let us know in the chat beforehand. So by the time we're finished, we can just call the next one. We'll go first come, first serve, but please, one more person, give it a shot. Okay, Luke, which one do you want to choose, an action or a horror?
I want to choose the action.
Okay, go for it.
I want to choose Jim Cotta.
Gymkata meets Blair Witch. My God, you've got your work cut out for right now.
Okay.
So for those who haven't seen Gymkata, maybe we should just explain what that is.
It's the ultimate martial art that
oh,
combines gymnastics and karate.
So I haven't actually seen it. I've only seen clips from it, though I think it's on Shudder. Is it
I
what kind of
can't
plot?
even
What kind
remember
of
the
plot line is
plot.
it? Yeah.
Is it kind of like a revenge movie? Do you remember the plot, Nacho?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Maybe there's a log line.
Maybe we don't need to know the plot. Maybe just
Yeah, you
gymnasts who do
just
martial
throw
arts
in
is
some
enough.
yeah, some gymnastics, somebody training for the Olympics, and then he gets
There we go.
possessed by a demon.
Luckily, in this town, there also seem to be a lot of like parallel bars just kind of like around,
Yeah.
like trampolines and what is that horse thing called? Just everywhere. Okay. So, yeah, you can interpret the prompt how you want. You have Jim Cotta meets Blair Witch. What do you got, Luke?
Oh,
Oh
found
man,
footage.
found footage.
Probably,
Okay,
probably has to be.
so the footage has to be of Mr. Jim Cotta's like revenge quest or whatever. Maybe he's filming it somehow, like on
Okay.
his GoPro. Um, so I guess our protagonist, maybe I don't know, do we do the origin as well? Do we have him go to like a small town to learn the secrets of Jim Cotta from the wise master so he can battle the Blair Witch, basically?
Whoa.
And then he goes out to try to fight her and bad things happen.
Okay, so you're saying he's making a documentary about his own quest to go fight the Blair Witch rather than just like identify the Blair Witch like in the original. Is that right?
Yeah, and
That
an
works?
Olympic gymnast teaches him the secret art of witch fu, which is
Okay.
basically just gymnastics.
Yeah. If you dig into the history of the witch, you'll find she was actually a very prominent member of the local gym, I guess. And maybe you discover that she has roots in the community as maybe she even started the gym or something like that. Maybe she was the gymnastics teacher, or it kind of feels
Oh,
like a ghost
it has
movie,
to
doesn't
be a
it?
team.
Okay.
It's like a team of gymnasts.
Okay. We're
Okay.
tired of our community being harassed by this stupid witch, and we are going to get out there and do what we do best: gymnastic martial arts to put a stop to this once and for all. Okay, but maybe I guess you're saying they don't know how to fight; they just know how to do gymnastics. They're like, how can we possibly defeat the witch? Is that right?
No, it's more like we have to use our secret art that is just gymnastics to fight the witch. But maybe, I don't know, along the way they become possessed and they have to fight each other, or
Okay,
they have to battle. Gymkhana has just a bunch of mooks, so we have to find a way to introduce mooks. Maybe the townspeople are possessed and like hunting them.
sure.
Um,
Maybe the witch is spreading some like workout video she made back in the 80s, and anyone who
that's
watches
pretty
it
good.
gets possessed by the sort of like spirit of
Yeah,
that, or like they serve the witch now and they try to use
it's like
gym.
a ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Yeah. So um, the only people that can stop the evil gymnastics are like the holy gymnastics. Maybe they're like some kind of monastic order of gymnasts, with like sacred gymnastic moves or something.
Sure.
This this is completely unhinged, but I would watch it.
It's not even that far off from, when you're doing Shaolin training and stuff, you do all kinds of things that gymnasts, I'm sure, would also are doing sort of similar exercises. Maybe there's some connection there. All martial arts are sort of gymnastics, right?
Kind of.
What else you got? So
Um,
your main character is the one making the documentary, so sort of for exhibition reasons, I guess, if we're looking at the different found footage conceits, and chronicling his
Sure.
attempt to go. Is he building the team, or is the team already together?
um, we could do it either way, but I think it'd be more interesting if the team just sort of um, unites at the beginning. Like maybe they already know each other, or this is the first time they're meeting. They've all accepted the job, but they team up in the beginning. I think structurally would work better because that gives more time for mindless action.
Sure. It might, in this sort of story, it might make a lot of sense to have some sort of unifying element to the problem. Like they were on, like your cold open might be like the gymnastics team is on the bus on the way home, and then the bus gets run off the road and the driver gets killed by the witch or something like that, right? So they have a kind of a grudge or a reason to want to get involved and to want to take the fight to the enemy.
Maybe they're connected to the video somehow, or maybe they were trained by the witch, or they because that's a kung fu movie trope. Like our master is now evil, and we have to go fight him and stop him from taking over China or whatever it is.
That could work. Maybe it's your
Uh,
one of the protagonist's childhood gymnastics teacher was the witch back when she was a normal person, and now sort of your old master has perfected her technique and used it for evil. Maybe there's something even to the almost Suspiria type of idea where the gymnastics are how you do the magic. Like in Suspiria, the dances are kind of like rituals or spells. Maybe by doing the gymnastics, she's causing certain magical effects. So she sort of unlocked witchcraft through gymnastics.
oh, and then the only people that could stop it are the people that know the secret art. So they
Yeah.
have to undo what she's done.
Her prodigy
That's
students,
the
her top students from when she was from when they were kids. Now they have to sort of reconfront their old teacher, come out of retirement in the gymnastic world. This is pretty silly,
sure.
but this would definitely be on
Uh,
Shudder.
yeah, for sure. It is probably the silliest action movie you could pick for this. Uh, I don't know, maybe Rollerball is sillier, but this Gymkata is next level.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked it. Nice job with this one. Any other thoughts you want to add on Gymkhana means Blair Witch? Oh, maybe a title?
Oh God. Uh, yeah, I'm drawing a blank. It's got to be something sort of like gym related or like workout related. Um, some idiom, no pain, no gain.
Toil and
Is there
trouble.
a phrase for like working out that's like something is a bitch? Like, because then you could just change it to witch.
Yeah,
I don't know.
give it some thought. We'll come back to you. If you think of it, type it in the text. A really good high concept premise usually has a good title. Like a title, sort of the last piece, the bow on the top of the premise. We'll do one more with Lou, and then we will go right to Open Lab. Lou, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you want to pick an action or a horror?
A horror. I'll pick the Vivitch
Okay,
just because that could be fun.
okay, more witches. We're gonna match you up with Con Air. You know that one?
Oh, yeah, I know that
Oh
one.
my God.
That's that's fantastic. Okay. Um,
So someone isn't familiar.
so I
Con
was,
Air is a Nick Cage action movie from the late 90s. Do you remember the central hook of the movie?
mhm. Such a great movie.
So what's the central hook?
John Malkovich. The central hook, I kind of want to set it in the 1600s. So maybe it's a boat.
Let's pause really quick though. So the central hook of Con Air is the setting, the plane, right? So we're transporting a prisoner on the
Oh,
plane.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, just to recap for some people may not have seen it. Go ahead, Nacho.
I was just gonna say, uh, never mind. I think Lou was suggesting a boat, but it's I think Connor was just explaining what the original movie was for
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
hadn't seen it.
It's sort of like Die Hard on a prison transport plane. That's the idea. Okay.
Absolutely.
Lou, take it away. I don't have to talk over you. Whatever you got or thoughts you have, you can ask questions or for clarification if you need, but go for it.
So it's on a boat, maybe sailing across Massachusetts Bay, whatever the bay is called. It's witch prisoners, like kind of like the Salem witch trials. They are being transported to, I don't know, somewhere else to face for their witch trials, but to make this like the Vivitch. Um, I guess it takes place right after. Well, this isn't a sequel, but um, the Anya Taylor-Joy character is is being transported. I guess there's a mutiny on the boat. I'm trying to work in the goat. Black Phillip, but
Oh, so these are just comps. Like you don't have to use the actual plot elements or characters from the thing that you're copying. It's just we're saying it's kind of like that.
okay.
So you can do whatever you want with the idea. So you're saying a witch is being transported somewhere for a trial, you're saying? Is that right?
Yeah, being
Okay.
transported for a trial. Witch mutiny on the boat. They start sailing, I don't know, south.
Why is there a mutiny? That you're saying the witch causes it or manipulates it, or why does the mutiny happen?
Because well, how does it happen in Con Air? So I guess we need a Nick Cage prisoner. I guess she's like a white witch who's just trying to get back to her family, but there are bad witches, the Buscemi witch. Um, so
Buscemi. Great.
John Malkovich witch, John
Malkovich,
Malkovich,
if you will.
Oh,
Malkovich.
that
Um,
great title.
uh, so how do we fit the action into it? Um, let's see. They, uh, I guess, park the boat. I guess you park a boat. Probably not, but
You anchor it.
there's people chasing it. Anchor a boat. There you go.
Mhm.
So there's like witch hunters chasing after them who are after them. I'm trying to figure out how this protagonist, Nick Cage, witch, wants to go back for some reason. I guess her family is in New England, and if they make it to like the middle colonies, if they make it, they're trying to get to New York. They're trying to get to out of the jurisdiction of the Puritans. All right, so they're trying to make it to the Dutch New York middle colonies. And if they get there, nothing bad will happen to them.
They'll be safe. Okay.
So it's a race. They'll be safe, but they're being hunted by the witch finders. I'm trying to think. Maybe because they have witch powers, maybe they can create like whirlpools to sink the enemy ship.
Sure.
I'm trying to think what other water powers a witch would have. Uh,
Maybe summon sea monsters.
Summon sea we got whirlpools, we got sea monsters, we got storms. They can make storms.
Mhm.
Okay, but that can create a problem for them because they're also in the storm.
That's a good set piece.
Yeah, they can get boarded by one of them at some point, have a big bloody sea battle. Maybe the mentor gets killed during it or something. So they're close to getting to New York. Um, let's see. How can we end this?
Oh, you don't have to take it through the whole plot.
Oh, they have to.
So the nice thing about
They have to crash into
Okay.
New York.
Okay.
They have to. The boat needs to be going out of control, just like Con Air crashes in Las Vegas. They need to
Right.
crash and like hit Wall Street.
Okay. They run aground in I'm not sure you could hit Wall Street with a boat, but they maybe they hit a powder depot on the shore and there's a big explosion as they hit the gunpowder storage or something like that. But
That'd
seems
be
like a bad
great.
idea to keep gunpowder there. I'm sure there's some way it could work. I will say though, so just a suggestion for coming up with premises. So you don't have to, whether it's brainstorming on an exercise or you're just coming up with an idea for your next movie. You don't always have to come up with the story linearly. Like just the beginning would be this, then the middle would be this, and the end would be this. It's sometimes a little more useful to just talk more broadly about like the types of sequences you want to see. Like you were doing just a minute, really great just a minute ago, with just like, well, how would they throw off pursuers? We do a storm set piece. Okay, that'd be great. The storm could affect both of them. How about we do a set piece where they summon a monster to stop the bad guys? Like, just think of those discrete sort of like blockbuster moments and start by putting those on your plot board right away before you come up with anything else. So it's just a useful way to approach it as non-linearly, just from the standpoint of what would be awesome sequences that can only happen in this premise.
Mhm.
But nice work that your idea, and your pitch actually sounded a bit more like Fury Road would maybe even be one of your comps, wouldn't it? But the idea of
Yeah.
witches who are intended to be on trial need to band together and go on the run and use their witch powers to escape their pursuers is a great central concept. So nice work taking something goofy and making it into something that works well.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
Maybe a title.
Well, Malkovich was discussed, so that is a temporary one.
I like Malkovich.
Okay. If you think of a better one, let us know. We don't have to get too much
Oh,
into
well.
titles this week. We'll get into titles next time. But so the point is, just to sum up, be thinking of your blockbuster moments early on. When you just initially think of, it would be this meets that, or it would be, I want to see a movie where we have Frankenstein on a spaceship, whatever it is, right? You should be thinking of those awesome sequences that you can place on the board, and then you can afterwards determine where would that actually fit. Would that really go in premise scenes, or would that be better in finale? Usually those core sort of blockbuster moments fit best in premise scenes or finale. But sometimes there's exceptions, and you think of an awesome try in the lock scene, for instance, or a really awesome midpoint, maybe. But usually these blockbuster moments would be payoffs of earlier setups. So maybe you think of an awesome payoff, and then later on down the line, during your plotting, where you go to scene cards, you'll have to think of, how would I possibly set that up? Thinking of the awesome moment towards the end of The Host, the Korean movie, where the main character ends up shooting a flaming arrow to hit the monster and save the daughter. You might imagine maybe we thought of that moment first, and then you can add the setup afterwards. Oh, she's trying out. She's an Olympic archer trying out for the upcoming games in Seoul. Okay, now we have placed that on the board, and now that is an early setup, it feels like a satisfying payoff rather than something that you just pulled out from under the rug. Okay, let's go into questions on anything we talked about today on week 1 of action horror.
I guess I have one.
Okay.
So the more heroic and actiony you make your movie, the less horrifying it becomes. How do you sort of balance that?
It's a good question. That's kind of like the core question of the entire genre. Your characters must be competent to some extent if they're going to simply survive. So they have to be competent in some way. The way that they are competent can drastically change, especially if at the beginning of the story they're really good at manipulating, hiding, and running. But over the course of the story, they learn more skills and they add more people to their team. So then by the end, they gain the skills of fighting back or hunting the monster or whatever it is. So the characters can still be very much afraid of the bad guy, even if they're somewhat competent. The villain is more competent and always this overwhelming threat. So your characters are competent, but they are pushed to the edge of that competence constantly. They are always outmatched and they're always losing resources and on the back foot. So despite the fact that we can fight back, we should have this impression that we are taking only like minuscule swings at the enemy that like aren't doing enough, and although we're maybe slowing them down, we should always be feeling like we are on the verge of losing and being crushed by the enemy in this sort of genre. Like, we don't know where they'll strike from next, we don't know how many of them there are, we could never defeat all of them, things like that. But yeah, this genre is sort of about finding that little spark of hope at the end of all of this. Even if all your heroes die, do they show that, you know, humanity has the will to keep fighting, or the will to live on, or do they inspire somebody else? So yeah, they don't have to, even though your heroes are competent, they shouldn't always win, and they should always be extremely outmatched. Hope that helps there.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. Any more questions before we do open lab? Okay, open lab then. Talk through a plot idea, share a pilot, or sorry, share a logline for feedback, something else. Looks like we have some comments from Twitch as well. My hero is Conan. Thank you for joining us. Sorry I didn't see these earlier. Sometimes it does take us a while to see all the comments from our various different social media sites. Looks like he or she was suggesting some different settings and monsters for the mummy and the beach setting. Thank you.
Get a question about two protagonists.
Can I write two protagonists for my first script? Okay. The answer to that is basically no. Like, especially if it's your first script, don't try to write equally balanced protagonists. Pick a central main character and stick with them and make the movie their story and their journey. Don't do multiple protagonists if it's your first script. If you've done a couple scripts and you feel like you have your footing and you can balance two equally important 3-act stories, then maybe give it a try. It's called a two-hander if you have two equally weighted protagonists. And it can work, especially in like romance sort of subtype, buddy team-up sort of storylines. But even so, you usually have one that is considered our anchor character. That is like the one that the audience attaches to. They're the Watson that we share their POV. And the Sherlock Holmes character is the one that has maybe a different skill set, but a little bit less of that narrative focus. So we have to open on somebody. It has to be somebody's story. So for the most part, don't do it. But if you absolutely must, then oftentimes one of those characters will still take just a little bit of precedence over the other. Hope that helps there. Thank you for the question, my hero. And he or she even suggests a monster with a pouch which has unlimited coins. But to get the coins, you have to make the monster distracted. Could be interesting. I'd recommend, there's a dark comedy, I think, with Juno Temple called The Brass Teapot, which is kind of an interesting, like almost Bradbury-and like dark fable sort of thing. It was nobody really saw this. I'm the only one who saw it. But basically the premise is it's about a couple that is hard on their luck, and they find a brass teapot that every time someone gets hurt near it, like someone feels pain, it dispenses dollar bills. Something to check out if that premise seems interesting to you. Not an amazing movie, but I love the idea. And it took some big swings, so got to give it props. Anyone else want to share something for Open Lab? That question, a page you're working on, a premise? Monster you're brainstorming?
I could find something. Bunch of premises that haven't been fleshed out into log lines yet.
Well, you better bring them up now, or else I'm going to make people do the were shark. What have you got?
I don't know if this one works as a horror movie, but it's the idea that every single person on Earth basically has unlimited access to any conversation. They can basically see or hear anywhere and anyone at all times.
What? Everyone can spontaneously do that, or everybody could always do that?
It might be some kind of new technology or new ability, or again, it's just a concept. There's no log line. It's just an idea. Like, what if anyone could spy on anyone else at any time?
Right. I guess I was just asking even for the purposes of your story, are you saying you're imagining a world where everyone could always do that, like as a supernatural inherent ability, or you're saying we would all of a sudden be able to do that?
Suddenly.
Okay, got it. Yeah, maybe there's something there. There's a certain almost genre of blacklist script, which is kind of like apocalyptic crazy thing. Like there was a blacklist script called Earworm, I think, which was the one where just this incredibly loud noise just plays all over the whole world and deafens anyone that hears it, and it won't ever turn off. So picking some sort of like crazy high concept apocalyptic type premise is a pretty decent foundation.
I think I read a script like that called like Noise or something that Nacho recommended.
Yeah, maybe that was the name of it. Maybe Earworm was a different script from around the same year. But in any case,
they made that into a movie?
No, I don't think they made it. I'm just referring to the foundation of like world-ending event or like thing that changes how human beings must live as a sort of sudden occurrence as the foundation of a story. Especially because you are referencing this in terms of horror, right? So you are thinking of this as
well, I don't know if it would work as horror. I could probably find one that definitely would work as horror.
That's up
I
to
think
you.
there's something horrifying about the idea of like everyone just suddenly losing all privacy and, stalkers being able to spy on their victims and governments having access to other governments' secrets and all this kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh, would everyone, I mean, in order for everyone to not just kind of go insane, is it that you sort of only get the information that you want to access, do you think? Or is it sort of just floating
Yeah,
in your head at all times?
and maybe that's how the solution is just, the ultimate distraction that pulls everyone's attention away from whatever nefarious thing they're trying to do.
Oh, a distraction, maybe. Uh, the uh, the idea also seems to almost be like that knowledge is coming from someone or something. Like, I wonder if what's the source of it?
Okay, here's one. PG horror where humans are ghosts. Basically a reverse haunted house movie. It's not a family moving into a house that's haunted by ghosts, and the ghosts are the problem. So are the protagonist, and it's the family that's moving in that's the problem.
Okay. I mean,
I don't
we've
know if that
definitely
would.
seen it before, but the
But how do we make that scary and sort of like, I don't know, Goosebumps-esque, kid-friendly kind of idea?
well, I mean, this is what Beetlejuice is. Like the idea that the ghosts are the protagonist and the family moves in, and now we're sort of investing in a journey about the ghost getting them to try to leave or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of anything that has not been done before because I think I've seen this a couple. I mean, Casper is also sort of this, isn't it? But with the sort of like
Probably. Oh,
bonding
I,
type friendship
I
element.
guess Casper is exactly that, and it's kid-friendly as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I should make it more adult-oriented.
I kind of thought you were going with when you said ghosts of the humans or something like that. I thought you were suggesting a world where like a ghost dies and becomes a human after he dies or something. I don't even know what I was thinking that could possibly have meant. Um,
Um,
but
this
I
would
mean,
probably be more
ghost
comedy
protagonists.
than horror.
Okay,
Oh, finish your thought. Sorry.
ghost protagonists could definitely work. Usually, it does work a little better in a comedy, but there are other examples. Otherwise, like even the movie Ghost with Swayze is not a comedy.
All right. How about Bosferatu?
Okay, I'm in. Sold. I don't even need
That's
the
a great
trailer.
title.
I heard all I need. No, just kidding. What is that?
Great.
The Office meets Nosferatu?
The Office meets something. Maybe. Uh, I mean, yeah, Nosferatu would be the easy comp, but
Like
I
what we
don't
do
know
in
if
the
it's
shadows, kind
clear
of.
enough.
Right.
Yeah, what would it be? Would it be a mockumentary? Would it be like, sort of like The Office is a documentary about Michael Scarn? Is it a mockumentary about this vampire boss? Is it basically that Nick Cage movie?
I would
Um,
do personally what I would like to see would not because like I feel like it's just an SNL sketch where Michael Scott is a vampire. Unless you do something, I would do a little more like Fright Night. The guy suspects his boss is a vampire and is trying to prove it. And the sort of go ahead.
I see a movie years ago where it was like an office full of vampires, like a company that was just all vampires. And sort of like this sort of everyday guy going to his job at Vampire Co. or whatever. It's been years since I saw it. I can't remember what it was called.
oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe it's
curious
like a
what they do.
medical company, like some kind of like, truly parasitic uh corporation,
A blood
like an
bank.
insurance company, I mean, blood bank is tangentially related, right? It's if they're doing medical. Um, what else? A used car salesman. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. My used car salesman boss is a vampire, and I must prove it.
Yeah, he only works the
Uh,
night shift. He sort of manipulates people. He has the best sales numbers, but he sort of hypnotizes people into buying the bad deals or whatever. I can see it.
You want the undercarriage insurance. Buy the undercarriage insurance.
Yeah, he'd be very good at upselling you. You want to be upsold.
well, I think the idea of someone having to prove that the boss is a vampire is a good idea to get a log line out of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned found footage, I think, which if or a mockumentary, if you're doing like an office kind of thing, then that does make a good excuse for why he's filming everything, like trying to set up hidden cameras and like get video evidence.
Here's a weird one. A town of zombies that's overrun by corpse-eating flies.
Whoa. Sounds like a problem solving itself. I mean,
Yeah, but the zombies are the protagonists, though.
oh,
Like,
the protagonist.
yeah.
My God. Okay, so you have a zombie main character that is just living his best life in this overrun town, and then it's like a creature feature, but your heroes are also monsters. All right, there's something really
Yeah.
funny about that.